The solution always comes from us seeing a problem that seems unfixable or is too complex for someone to like just quickly fix it. So let's make that employee's job easier. Let's build this tool out for them to do that task.
Welcome to SaaS That App, building B2B Web Applications, the podcast where we share real-world stories, practical advice, and tech insights for those building or thinking about starting a tech-enabled business. I am your co-host, Aaron Marchbanks.
And I'm Justin Edwards. Each week we bring you the stories, strategies, and insights you need to build your SaaS or tech-enabled business smarter, not harder. Let's dive right in.
All right. Greetings, as always, to my co-host, Justin Edwards, CIO of Delta Systems. Good afternoon, Justin. And also joining us today is our guest, Reid Lyle, founder and owner of Fast Yowi Tees, which does custom screen printing and embroidery, among many other things that he's going to enlighten us about, and does that on just about everything, and I think actually including face masks for COVID. So, Reid, thanks for joining us.
Not so much anymore, but yes, that was a blip in the pan there. So yeah, for sure. We're a flash of the pan type business. So you kind of jump on weird stuff that's in the media and weird stuff that's in pop culture. And that was pretty weird. So we sort of jumped on that. So I'm glad we're not making masks anymore. So
then, Reid, what else does Fast Yowi do? If not, COVID masks exclusively.
Yeah, if not COVID masks exclusively. I mean, I guess our bread and butter really is largely screen printing business to business. Like that's mainly it. So we supply a lot of hospitals in town, more formal stuff, banks and mortgage companies, stuff that's not necessarily, highly artwork intensive, but, that's kind of like the foundation of what we do. But then we also work with, individuals and groups from all walks. So we have a wide variety of, stuff that we do. But yeah, for the most part, it's screen printing for businesses who are looking to usually outfit their staff and sell merchandise to their clients. That ties into a bunch of like restaurants, breweries, music acts. I mean, just you name it. I mean, it's just like, it's all over the map. But that keeps the day quite interesting because, you got all sorts of characters that come in. So you have your stuffy characters and you have your real wild ones. So you never know what the day is going to hold. So it keeps things pretty interesting. So and people always want wild stuff. So there's a large degree of problem solving.
So how did you end up like getting into screen printing and kind of apparel and owning your own gig?
Yeah, I guess you just go through kind of iterations and land on something really. It wasn't something I set out to necessarily do to begin with. I have an advertising background, so I was working in marketing at other places, and it always irritated me that I was doing marketing for someone else's thing, because I was like, well, this is awesome. They're going to make a ton of money off of this. Why don't this should be mine, So I always had that in the back of my mind that I kind of wanted to do marketing for something that directly was related to me, So that was kind of always there. At one point I was working for a group of motorcycle dealerships where we were doing, advertising and marketing for them. And what that turned into was we were doing websites for motorcycle dealers, right? So me and my brother were putting together this system where basically it was a system where a dealer could get on there and load their inventory onto their site, and they would have these skins, and they could reskin the site on the fly and all that stuff. So we started building this out, and our dummy site had a merchandise category, like for the dealer to supposedly sell t-shirts. So to like make it work, we actually made it work. We made it so it would sell, so someone could get on there and literally buy something. And I just made up a bunch of dumb motorcycle themed t-shirts just for an example. So we woke up one morning and there were like dozens of sales. And we were like, what the hell? This was just a sample. So then I like frantically figured out how to like fulfill them, because I was like, well, let's just fulfill them, So I fulfilled them, and we started like kind of like messing with that, You remember Charlie Sheen's whole fiasco?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Very
Yeah, his
mild.
whole like meltdown and all that crap.
Yeah,
So-
his public meltdown.
Yeah. So I don't know if I should even be talking about this really, because it's probably not exactly legal. But while all this was going on, Charlie Sheen was melting down, right? So all that was going on. So I bought charliesheen-t-shirts.com, and we used our same like thing we used for the motorcycle dealerships, and we put up a bunch of these like quotes by him, right? And it just like blew out of the water. I mean, and like I said, it was like a flash of the pan thing. It was like this thing that lasted like 3 weeks, 5 weeks, something like that. Maybe it was longer than that. I don't know. But we capitalized on it. And then it sort of just like taught us this lesson. We were just kind of like, okay, what do we do with these motorcycle dealers? This is so complicated. Let's just like pivot and let's put up a shirt site based on everything we've just learned, you know? So we did that. And then I started learning about t-shirt production. I knew about marketing. I just didn't know anything about t-shirt production really. So I started getting into that. I even worked at a place for a while, a t-shirt place for a while, to kind of really get in how it worked, you know?
Super cool. No, seriously, like you're like suddenly you found yourself owning a t-shirt company. Like I guess I should learn how to print t-shirts. So you got a job doing that.
Yeah, I have no interest in t-shirts. Yeah. So I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I don't have a disinterest. It's just like, but like, it's weird. I don't wear like printed apparel that much. I don't. It's just a thing, you know. I don't know. So
Yeah. So was your brother doing the development on these sites to stand them up and kind of get a site up real quick? Okay.
So I was doing the designs and the concepting kind of, and he was doing the execution. And we kind of hit it at a perfect time. This was back when Google Shopping was free to the seller. They just wanted to populate it because it was a new thing, and they had no throttles in place. Like it was a magic thing. Like we do this, I don't know what we call it. We call it database design, right? So you have iHeart, then you have a database of crap, you know, cars, butts, motorcycles, baseball, whatever. And then we generate millions of designs based on this database, right? So we were doing that on Google Shopping. And because there was no throttle, no limit, no payment, it was very easy for us to get millions of products online really fast. Now, Google has since changed their policy.
Really?
Oh yeah. So we paid dearly for that now. So our business model has changed quite a bit. But there was this like 2-year window when Google, I guess, was just trying to populate shopping. And that's when we were doing this. And so we had no investment. And it was pretty wild. So now we've scaled back that inventory because now for some reason you got to pay to put stuff up on these marketplaces. So anyway, but there was a window where it was a free for all Wild West thing, and it was fun. We couldn't keep up.
No doubt. Aside from the Google aspect of it, like what was the primary like mode of selling, you know, for technology wise? I know you talked about these websites, but I mean, was that kind of how it worked? I mean, did you have an e-commerce component? Was it all just point of sale?
Yeah. So we had a website that Google Shopping would drive them to, right? And then the database was also hosted on our website, so they would execute it there. Or in this case, the user, let's say they search for "I love guitars," right? So they would click on the iHeart guitars. Then we would display 30 other guitars designs that were these database designs, right? And we would display that as well. So the sell-through rate was pretty good. Like if we could get that click and they were on Google Shopping, that means they usually had their wallet out. They were trying to, and you know, it's all gift stuff largely. A lot of these people are not buying. They're like, it's usually, honestly, we figured out, it's a lot of grandparents who are buying stuff for their grandchildren, and they know nothing about them. They know, oh, well, Johnny likes red and he likes stamps. So here's a red shirt about stamps. So, you know, let's buy that. He'll love it, you know? And, so it kind of worked, but we're also, you know, in marketplaces as well. Amazon, Walmart, eBay, a few other little ones. And those marketplaces, back around, 2010, 2014 were very, I'll just say, not as abusive as they are now to the sellers. Man, it has like turned into a nickel and diming. Just we'll look into these charges on some of these marketplaces, and when you look at the percentage of what is being taken out of each sale, it's just, it's more than a brick and mortar would end up costing. It's absolute lunacy. And it might work if you were selling products that were, $300 or higher with a higher margin, but when you get into these products that are in the $20 range and you're doing them kind of piecemeal, the numbers are rough. They just, and it's so competitive too. And, we've had situations on these marketplaces where we'll have these fly-by-night companies copy our entire catalog, like from Amazon. So we don't even have any control, they're just crawling it pretty much. And then they'll undercut us by, it doesn't even matter how much, just $1. And, they're constantly fighting with that. It's just, it's big mess. But yeah, so we still do all that. We've just kind of scaled back our emphasis on it because it's just kind of a beast, it's a beast. And it's definitely there to benefit the marketplace. And in many cases, you're competing with the owners of the marketplace. So like, they have more data than we do. So, so that's been a challenge. But yeah, in those early days of our business, those were gold mines.
At this time, are you doing mostly like direct to consumer for like gifts and grandparents, or is there a business to business at this point too, or did that emerge later?
Business to business sort of emerged later, and that's primarily what we're doing now. And we still do all the online retail. We still do the marketplaces. But we're so reliant on the cooperation of the marketplaces, which have turned into these dead AI roadblocks. We've had situations on one of these marketplaces where we've been shut down over errors, like they accidentally just took us down. We've had to get attorneys involved to communicate with the marketplaces, not to file suit, not to do, just to communicate. And so it's one of those things where we realize we're like, okay, so yeah, we're in 5 of these marketplaces, but any one of them can flip a switch at any moment and kill us overnight. So like, we can't depend on their shelf anymore. Like, we got to be the shelf. So, and that's where the storefront kind of came into play, which, honestly, the storefront is more archaic than I would prefer. Like, I would prefer everything to be online. But, having the storefront, it lets us break through that kind of clutter, at least on a regional level. It does provide a big level of trust that we wouldn't perhaps otherwise get. They can come knock on the door and cut my throat. They don't have to send me an email to cut my throat. So, so that gives us a stability that allows us to kind of play around with these marketplaces, take everything we can, of course, and push it as far as we can, of course. But if they can us, it's like not the end of the world.
Well, it's amazing that you have that relief valve of having a storefront and having that. So like, we work with a lot of customers who have Android apps and iOS apps, and the same problems you're talking about, where the only way you can get a response from these people is from their legal department via an attorney. Google and Apple, I'm looking at you, putting an app into your store is awful. It's terrible for developers. It's terrible for business owners. And there's no recourse. They can just decide, we've decided your app is no good anymore. It's like, well, threatening a lawsuit is about all that you've got if they decide for some reason you can't be in their store anymore. So it's cool that outside of the mobile space, we still have, as business owners and developers, the ability to make our own ways, so to speak, and we don't have gatekeepers on everything. Cool. Well, we just wrapped a major initiative with you. I guess, would you mind giving kind of an overview of kind of what that project was and how kind of the new system, the old system, play together, and why you guys made the change?
The problem that we needed to fix was we sell a product that, has complex quoting aspects to it. And we needed to be able to solve that, visually and easily that the customer could digest. And we had a system in place that was messy. We're APIing into all these different suppliers. So there's just all this disconnect. So really the goal was to consolidate everything to one interface that our customers and our employees can both use. So one integrated interface that they can both use to get the same information. And because basically what we were having is, when you're trying to connect all this information from all these different places manually, there's errors constantly. I mean, it's just the pricing errors, inventory errors, just general miscommunication. And it's all because, we're humans pretty much. So essentially what we did is we took all of those different parts, we brought them in together to an API, and then we had you guys skin it in the most lovely way possible. So a customer can get in there and get a pretty complex set of information very easily. And it's the same thing we're looking at internally. So everyone is looking at the same thing. It's organic. It's live. The way things have been the past couple of years, our inventory prices, our costs change constantly. I mean, like we're seeing costs up and down on a monthly basis right now. And a lot of it has to do with like cotton supply, literally, and stuff like that. But anyway, like navigating that kind of volatility from a sales standpoint, it's a nightmare. So tying it all together in one package, to have it update automatically and to be kind of an organic thing like that, it's taken. I tell you what, I've got salespeople that were here pre-website, right? And then I've got salespeople that were here post-website. And the salespeople that were here post-website, the training took like 3 months less than it did for the people who were existing, before it. And the people who the pre-website people who got it, they've just been like, "This is amazing! Why didn't we do this before?" I kept saying, "I've been trying to do this for years." Like, so anyway, yeah, it's been like a giant relief to get that built out. And it's really improved our efficiency and more importantly, our accuracy, really. I mean, like, so now we're accurate and efficient. And it allows our customers to be accurate and efficient too. So it's really burning the candle at both ends, and we're really treating it more as a utility than an actual, it's not just a retail sales tool. It's a utility. It answers a lot of questions for everybody on both sides of the transaction. So
yeah, you were talking about the employee training, and that's just like in a general sense, just dealing with your own internal processes. I mean, a lot of times when we're talking about SaaS or online systems or things like that, more often than not, people don't necessarily take into account savings of time internally that this is going to go through. I mean, most everybody is pretty forward thinking. We want to make this a good experience for our end users. We want to make it super easy for them, even if it's like an enormous headache for us. But they don't say, well, how can we also at the same time not make it an enormous headache for us? Because that's how you keep the other side of the equation happy. And I think that's super important.
And I think, my brother Sam has built with me all of our internal management software. And we'd looked at all these places who offer these kind of, I don't know, one size fits all work order systems, and, we went down kind of a road with a couple of them, and it was just like, I mean, this is close, but there was just so much lacking, and I've put a lot of money into building that system and a lot of time. But the thing is like, we've got like 15 employees right now. I would expect I would have to have 3 or 4 more employees if we were running on one of those other systems, because of how much streamlining it does, the automatic scheduling it does. Just all these time-saving tools that we built. And once those are built, they're built. They require no maintenance hardly. So when you look at that, it sort of makes the system easier to just handle, because everything, and it takes the strain out of a human doing something awful they don't want to do anyway, So yeah, I don't know. It's a good way to grow because we're growing in a lean way. We're not growing in a fat way, I don't know. So we're growing without a lot of waste.
Yeah. Well, you're getting that best fit solution. I mean, that, the customization, like you say, the off the shelf stuff, a lot of times will get you 70, maybe 80% of the way to where you want to go. But all of the problems exist in that last, 20 to 30% or whatever. How do you get over that hump? And I know you're talking about like e-commerce systems, having seen and helped with the site that's up now, one of the things that I found unique about it, even from the outset, for first conversations that we were having, is that it's not traditional e-commerce in the sense that there's some sort of a carting process and at the end you check out and pay. It's like you said, it's a quoting system. There are lots of things about it that feel e-commercey, filtering and searching and picking of colors and things like that. But because of the highly customized nature of your business and what you do, you can't at the end of it just say, yep, that's going to be a carton of $25, because you've got artwork and instructions and who knows what is it going to be lasered on the front of jeans?
And, wielding the giant inventory has always been a problem. And now we finally have compartmentalized it to where you can really it's kind of crazy. I go to my supplier websites now, sometimes when I'm looking for other stuff that's not on our site. And I'm like, God, this is so irritating to use because I'm now used to our system. And I'm like, God, why don't they just do it like we do? It's just, I don't know. So, it's interesting, but yeah, so now I'm spoiled now, I guess. So yes, I don't know how that's gonna pan out, but yeah, it is interesting. Yeah. Getting it tailor made. And, every time we build internally, a solution, the solution always comes from us seeing a problem that, seems, unfixable or it's too complex for someone to just quickly fix it, and it's never like we're doing a feature because we want to irritate the staff or we want to, big brother the staff. That's the last thing on our mind. The forefront is okay, this employee is really frustrated and we see why, because they're having to do XYZ manually and it's taking 4 hours for them to do and no one wants to do it. So let's make that employee's job easier. Let's build this tool out for them to do that task. And look, now they're getting it done in 30 minutes and the same end is being met. And now we can position that employee's extra time to do something else that's valuable too. So I don't know, and when you kind of get into a pattern of doing that, hey, man, you just get a well-oiled machine that's pretty wild, it's I don't know, things run here so much smoother than they did 5 years ago, even, that, it's just, I always look back and I'm like, God, how are we doing that? How are we functioning without this, So yeah, the investment in the tech to simplify systems, and it's, and again, it's not just about the money saving. It's about making the staff a little happier, and that probably does translate into money saving because staff hangs around longer because they're not pissed off all day. Now, some of them are pissed off all day, but that's their problem. So,
Did you have anything that would look like a war story or a close call or like a thing that almost broke your business or
Oh yeah, I
and
got plenty
for
of those.
and then for bonus points, how someone else might learn from it or avoid the same
Yeah,
mistake.
yeah. There's a lot of internal stuff, that's probably not that interesting, but and I guess I can only legally talk about this so much. So we'll just start there. So we didn't start out as Fast Yowi T-shirts. So a Yowie is an Australian Yeti with 6 toes. Okay. So we originally started as Fast Yeti T-shirts back in 2013. So there's only so much I can go into this, but I'll just say that I got sued in the state of Texas by Yeti Coolers in 2019. I was served with the lawsuit while I was putting my unborn son's car seat into the car at the hospital. Pretty classy. So anyway, so I when we had picked the name, we were worried about a company called Yeti Cycles that makes bicycles, and they also made some clothing. So we were all freaked out about this bicycle company, but we were like, well, you know what? We print T-shirts. Let's just, we're filing a trademark that's in a different class. It's a different category. Let's not communicate with them and do it anyway. So we did it. And I guess the whole reason Yeti even came into play, I was obsessed with the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Bumble growing up, like hardcore obsessed with this Bumble. So anyway, and I guess I still am sort of obsessed with it. I don't know. So I guess I was afraid of it growing up, and then I liked it, and then when his teeth came out, it really freaked me out, and anyway. So I wanted to keep integrating that fear into my daily life.
Yes.
Right. So anyway, so I got sued in Texas for infringing on Yeti Coolers' rights to Yeti. And anyway, we kind of had a battle for at least a year, and basically it became apparent to me that they were not backing down. Then it became, part of me was like, oh, as a matter of principle, I'm going to ride this thing through. I'm going to be a cowboy about this.
Those are expensive words.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So during that year, I'm getting my bills from my attorneys and things like that. And I actually, this was right when my first son was born, right? So I hid this from my wife for months because I wanted her to focus on the kid, I didn't want her to think, oh, is our whole lives about to crumble,
Yeah, there's no way that came back to bite you, right? There's no way.
Well, I came clean about it, and I told her why I told her why I kept it from her, and I think I kept it from her for a good reason. And I guess if it had escalated to a point where I thought it was, if I thought it was really serious, I probably would have spilled my guts. But she was suspicious. I was taking weird phone calls in the backyard and stuff, which is not something I normally do. I kept saying oh yeah, Henry's crying, and let me go out in the backyard and take this. And, I'm screaming at some attorney. So anyway, so it basically, after a lot of soul searching, you realize, okay, if I change the name, am I going to lose any clients? No. What am I fighting for here? Really? I'm fighting over air. What a first world stupid. This is stupid. So I just walked away, and I walked away from it. I settled with them. And then, we changed it to Yowie. And what kind of is a benefit now is if you get onto Google and you search Yeti, right? You get a litany of crap forever. So you get the cooler, you get the bicycle, you get a bunch of other companies, you get the actual Yeti and every documentary you can think of about that, But if you search Yowie, we're first. I mean, like we're it. So, and we did a variation of the spelling too, where we dropped the E of the real Yowies to give it a little more uniqueness and to, it make the trademark a little stronger, because now I'm like, okay, like I'm going to do this right this time.
Lesson learned. I got it.
Right. Lesson learned. This is going to be ours. So I think like, while it did cause it definitely caused some stress in a short run. And that was that was probably 18 months of me freaking out, And what was good about my sign, when I changed the sign, I only had to change 2 letters on it, which I think made some people kind of mad on the other side of the lawsuit that I just had to change. And it's funny, when I changed them out, like the blue of the letters, you could tell which letters were new, and which ones were like weather beaten. So anyway, so that was kind of satisfying right there. But in the end, I think it benefited us from just from a search perspective. And that's like not something I ever considered really until it happened, or until after it happened. I didn't even consider that as like a benefit. And I think now it's going to help us again, just cut through that clutter a little better. It's not a huge thing, but every little advantage kind of helps sometimes. So to not be under that, behemoth anymore is good. But yeah, I didn't know what was going to happen. So that was a really touch and go situation there.
Well, I had no idea that Yeti coolers did custom apparel printing. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't want to.
Right, yeah, neither am I. So, yeah.
Okay.
Don't feed the bear,
I'm just not educated enough to understand. This must be what the issue is.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Everybody can do their own research. So,
yeah.
There you go.
Reasonable minds can differ, they say.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, that was the only major thing, and I guess it's always alarming when you're sued by a publicly traded company. So so it's just just alarming. So
So you don't recommend that? Is what you're saying?
I don't recommend that. So I guess my advice then on that experience is when you pick a name, like, have a solid URL, have a solid trademark attorney vet it for you, and kill your children. You know what I mean? I mean, like, what is the thing? Kill your darlings, not your children.
I was waiting to see where that was going to go
quickly.
That's the takeaway. Kill your kids. No.
All right.
So yeah, but what kind of podcast is this?
I was about to say
true crime, right?
We now can, yeah.
That's the headline and the clip right there.
Right,
Reid Lyle, kill your children.
That's right. But if you fall in love with a name and there's a legal thing with it, just drop it, walk away, forget about it. Because in the end of the day, you're fighting over air for something no one else cares about, like, except you. Like, I mean, no one else cares about it. So, like, even though it's cool or whatever, I mean, flex.
So are you saying then that you wish you would have been like kind of served that and been like, yeah, always good, and just rolled over right away?
In hindsight, no, because I think I learned a little bit from hanging with it for as long as I did. I mean, I know so much about trademarks now, which benefits our business in other areas. Just the fact that I know I'm not an attorney or anything, but like, some of the attorneys I talk to, I might know more than them. So, but anyway, yeah, I don't know. The experience of going through it had value, even though it was like a colossal fail, like when you like kind of look at it, and it was a chaotic time. But when I look back, I think as a whole, because I did hang with it as long as I did, I'm probably make smarter decisions going forward. I let less stuff bother me now because I'm like, oh, you screwed up 50 shirts, you printed the front and the back. Okay, well, we're not getting sued by a publicly traded company. Carry on,
There's the
so
metric. That's the mark.
That's the mark. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It puts everything in perspective, having kind of that kind of threat looming. It puts everything else in perspective, and I think it makes me focus on what really is important versus what is clearly not. So yeah, so that had a lot of value. I'd probably do it the same way. I could do it again, but But if I was doing it again and I wanted it just to end immediately, I would have rolled over, that first hour. But I don't know. I'm kind of stubborn when it comes to that. The instinct is this like, how dare you, how dare you, So yeah. And you really, it's easy to get caught up in the emotional response of it, and it's weird. I don't know if you've ever seen, it's like, there's nothing to hit, they're in another state. There's no one you can channel your anger at. You can't even talk to them. You can only talk to the person who's on your side, which is an attorney who's working for you. So like, it's a frustrating thing because all you can do is punch drywall. That's all you can do. And that's not productive, turns out.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, I think the film was called Founder, but it was all about the guy who invented the turn signal.
Oh, I was thinking of the founder, the McDonald's guy.
Yeah, Ray Kroc. Yeah, I don't know. I might have the name of the movie wrong. I'm historically awful at knowing what the names of movies are or who actors are.
Oh, what's your movie about then?
So I famously know nothing. But this movie, the guy, basically what happens is the guy invents the turn signal and goes and shows, I think it's in Detroit, he goes and shows it to one of the Detroit places, and they just rip it off. And they don't credit it for him, and they don't pay him anything for his invention. And I think he had a patent on it or whatever. And he goes to war with all these car companies for his entire life, and it ruins his marriage and all his kids. And he's just like, I invented this one thing this one time, and they stole it. And he was absolutely right. And he did, at the end of his life, get his vindication that he invented this, and they ripped it off from him. But it's just like, dude, you're a brilliant inventor. And like, you just hung up your entire inventing career to go pay lawyers and spend your entire life in this legal fight. Like, go do something else awesome. Like, let it go. Also, these companies have a lot more resources to pay lawyers than you do, and sometimes that matters more than whose side the law is on.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, when you have in-house attorneys, I mean, it's you're gonna win. So but yeah, that I get your point. Yeah.
Well, the big takeaway for me is I did not have sued by a publicly traded company on my entrepreneurial bingo card, but I'm going to add it now. Because I haven't done that one yet, and it sounds like a hell of a lot of fun. So
it's a learning experience for sure. But yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, because that guy could have gone on to do all sorts of stuff.
I think that's kind of what they were trying to say with the movie. At least that's what I took away from it. And I probably got the name wrong. I don't know who was in it because I'm bad at that kind of thing.
I bet airbags were around when he was doing the blinker.
There was another one too about the wipers with the delays.
I think I've heard about the wiper. Yeah.
Okay, you're right, Aaron. That's what it was. It wasn't turn signals.
Okay.
It was wipers.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I told you. I
you
will get,
do know
I will
nothing,
get,
right?
That's okay.
I will get none of the story right. I will get the name right. And I don't know who's in it, but I'll tell you what the movie meant to me.
You got the point right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of folks over the... I think the movie I was thinking about was The Founder, which I think is about the McDonald's guy who apparently... Did he lift it from somebody else, or somebody else had come up with that system? McDonald's wasn't his to begin with. Now he may have made it better. I can't remember, but it's a similar thing where someone goes 90% of the way there, and then somebody else steps in and does the rest. So
it looks like Flash of Genius was the name of the film, so not The Founder. There was actually also a movie called The Founder, which was indeed about Ray Kroc, and yeah, he basically went to the McDonald's brothers and negotiated the franchising rights, and then essentially wrested the business away from them after he scaled it intensely.
Did he do the automation then, or he probably did all the automation?
I believe that they had the system set up, and all he did was add scale to it. So I think that their big invention was to have all this assembly lining,
gizmos.
Exactly. All this, you put this many things of ketchup in these two pickles, and they were turning out food so incredibly fast.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's weird. I have a fascination with McDonald's. I don't eat at McDonald's, but I have a fascination with the system of it. And I've always wanted to work there in the kitchen just to see how it goes. Have either of you worked fast food growing up?
I cannot say that I have. Yeah.
I worked at a Tasty Freeze, but I was kind of I was a bit young. Yeah, I wasn't like a cook or anything. I was just doing busing and stuff.
Okay, yeah. It'd be interesting to see those systems because man, this is remarkable how consistent things are when one thing I know about yeah, exactly. And one thing I always am surprised about, I feel like when you go to a Starbucks, I feel like the baristas have the same demeanor and intonations to their speech even. I don't know if it's just because I'm going to just Midwest Starbucks or what? But they all seem to have this same just sort of pacing, and I don't know. It's very strange. I don't know. I just feel like it's the same girl at every Starbucks, and I mean, it can't be though. So I don't know.
I'm here to say the ones in Colombia and Panama are a little different, but not as different. Not as different as you might think.
Colombia with an O? Is that what you're talking about?
Colombia, yeah.
Colombia, yeah, okay, and
yeah. The South American one, yeah. I imagine
they have
Columbia,
a different
Missouri,
demeanor, so yeah, you're not missing a whole lot.
Well, just keep an eye on our time here, guys.
Yeah, I know Aaron's got a hair appointment. Am I wrong?
Up or down? Up or
hey,
down?
this thing doesn't like take care of itself. You know what I'm saying? So, Reid, I do want to ask you though, what is next? What is next for Fast Yowi? What's on the horizon? What are the plans? What's the outlook?
So I guess you guys built out kind of our foundation of our site, and I'm gonna eventually start, like, we're using it actively right now, but we're not like pushing it right now. I'm doing an internal expansion right now where we had to knock down a few walls, and we're adding some new equipment here in the next couple of months, and that'll essentially triple our capacity. So once that gets up and running, I'm pretty much going to start kind of pushing the foundation we've got on a statewide level and see if I can keep this monster running as much as our capacity will allow. And right now we're kind of we are exceeding the brink of our current capacity. So I'm like, I'm hesitant to like actively advertise right now, because it's like, oh, you want an order? Well, guess what? We can't do it. So, so that doesn't really do me any good right now. So, but yeah, I mean, I hope to, by August, to have that expansion completed and have those systems in place. And then, yeah, probably August and fall, we'll start kind of actively pushing and try to fill this beast up. And then, if we could fill that up, I'm probably going to sit here for a minute. So I have no, I think there's such a thing as being too big. You can get to a point, and then it's kind of like, why push it further when it's just going to make yourself miserable, So like, I think if we do complete this expansion successfully, that'll be plenty for me to chew on and to do and to fine tune and all that stuff. And we won't need to, grow much anymore. So, or more than I can tolerate, at least. So,
I don't know. You seem like the guy who's going to find that plateau and get bored and then find the next one. So,
well, it is weird. I was telling one of my guys the other day, I was like, well, the website's basically done. When we get these new presses in, what are we going to do? Like, what are we going to do all day? Like, I hope we're not just going to print shirts. That's going to be boring. So, so I don't know. So maybe I'll open up a Tasty Freeze or something like that.
There you go.
Happy to help you out if you need someone to clear tables. So
I need somebody to clean up the tables.
I'll be the world's most expensive, least economically productive busboy. Yeah, we're super over time. My last question was, is there anything I should have asked you about that I didn't, or anything else you would share with someone else doing this crazy business stuff that we do?
Well, I don't know. I covered all the drama. So
the drama's the good stuff.
All the main stuff, all the fun stuff you got. So I could talk about print heads for a long time if you want to talk about print heads, but
and unfortunately we're out of time.
There's a lot of really boring stuff in this business. But I'm sure in your business there's no boring stuff.
No,
right?
No. So every day is
everything I do is incredibly fascinating.
Well, thanks for your help on my project, and thanks for having me on. This has been
absolutely,
fun.
Reid. Thanks for taking some time to talk Fast Yowi with us. So, yeah, where can folks connect with you if they need to, or look you up online?
Yeah, just find me at fastyowi.com.
There you go.
You can get a hold of me there.
Awesome. Well, that wraps us up for today. Thank you, Justin, and special thanks also to Reid. You guys have a good one.
It's a pleasure to get to chat with you both. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Thanks for cruising along with us on SaaS That App. We hope you grabbed some insights that were inspiring, actionable, or at least entertaining.
If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review.
Until next time, keep building, keep growing, and keep those apps sassy.